Will 100 million share trade volume on a single day be equivalent to ignition volume for niostock? This was a post and a pinned comment that I left on a recent video, but this was actually Friday, February 21st, me tracking it because early on in the day, there were over 35 million shares traded pretty early in the morning, and then there were about 80 million by midday. And by the end of the day, there were over 100 million shares traded. Now, what's the significance of this? In just the recent history, let's say going back through the last couple of earnings calls, there have been two different points where we've had significance with this 100 million share trade volume on the daily side of things. And I'm going to point out a couple of things. First of all, we're waiting. I haven't seen the update on the NIO website about the upcoming earnings call. However, if we look back to last year, it was around March 5th. And so I'm wondering if it'll be about that same time frame. Early March is what I'm hoping for. I'll keep watching for that. But if we look at the September 5th date and then come back to looking at the daily trade volume and also the price action for NIO, and then notice a couple of other things. And this is why I've kept it on the ticker at the bottom of the screen, the trade volume being the first indicator and the daily trade volume after that earnings call, which that earnings call was right in here. We saw 9 days where there were over 100 million shares traded. On every single one of those days, the stock price went up. And that marks the biggest short-term move for the stock price in recent history over the last, again, going back basically a few earnings calls. So that's why I've been paying attention to that. Here's the other thing. The spike on the FTDs came or was followed rather by a low point with the stock price. Now, we haven't had a spike come through that big since then. And we also haven't seen the stock price go down quite as far. So again, that maybe plays into sentiment. It seems like sentiment from the stock price action matters a whole lot. Here's the other thing though. If we now move ahead and look at the most recent earnings call, which was November 20th, and then come back to the chart, I want to point something out. There's been only one day prior to this, most recent trade day, which was Friday, February 21st. There's been only one day where there were over 100 million shares traded for NIO, and it was a day where the stock price went up. Now, it was a 109 million share trade day. This was just over 100 million shares, about 101 million shares traded here on this recent Friday. So I'm curious if this isn't going to mark a point at which we are going to see a pivot, a reverse, and things move to the upside with earnings coming out, with some things happening fundamentally. What happens from here moving forward? This is not the most updated data as far as the dates and stock price for NIO go, because this is delayed lag data on the FTD side of things. So we have to wait and see what that looks like. So retroactively, I will continue to track it and share it, and we'll keep talking about it here until we see NIO with the clear breakout and or reversal. Thanks. I'll see y'all again very soon.